Hi YouTube! Today I'm going to show you how to make a cute skirt with suspender straps like my little sketch here. The good thing about the way I'm going to show you how to make this skirt is that because it is so simple, you can change the measurements and make the skirt for any size doll and make it in a bunch of different styles as well depending on your preference. It is super customizable in that way. Is customizable a word? I'm not sure. Anyway. So to make this skirt you're going to need 3 pieces. The first piece is the waistband. It is a rectangle that is the circumference of the waist by the height times 2. The second piece is the main body of the skirt. This part can be literally anything you want as long as the top matches the length of the waistband. For example, I made box pleats, but you could also make a simple straight skirt with a rectangle, a circle skirt so it flutters out, dagger pleats, it's all up to you. For my example, since I'm making box pleats with a pleat length of 1 centimeter, I'm going to multiply the waist by length of 3 to get the size of the rectangle, and the height is however long you want the skirt to be. Finally, you want fabric for the straps. These need to be the length of the strap plus the foldable area you need to attach them to the D-rings by the width you want your straps times 4. For this video, I'm going to be making a skirt for my Harukasting Nani, and these are measurements I'm going to be using. If you want, you can easily copy along for these measurements or measure out your own doll and apply that to your fabric. I didn't measure the straps since I just made a really long length of strap and cut it as it was needed. I always tend to make more than I need. Add seam allowance to your measurement and ignore my spelling fail. I was a tiny bit distracted while I was writing this out. First, we need to cut out all of our fabric. The main skirt, the waistband, and the straps. To start off, we're going to hem the bottom of the skirt with a rolled hem. For those who don't know what a rolled hem is, you simply fold up the bottom of the skirt by half of your seam allowance, iron it, then fold and iron again, and sew it in place. This leaves the edge of the skirt encased in the folds and prevents fraying, plus it leaves a nice clean look on the inside of the skirt. Now to make the box pleats. If you've decided to customize your skirt by making a circle or not using pleats, you can skip this step. For those who are following along, here's a kind of hacky way to measure your pleats. First, cut a strip of card or thick paper to the width of your pleat. In this case, it's 1 centimeter. Then you place the strip onto the fabric, fold the fabric over to cover the strip, and then fold it back so it continues. It's a lot easier to visualize than it is to say, so I've included a long clip of me creating pleats. To make a box pleat, you alternate the side you place the card on and thus the side you're folding. To make a simple dagger pleat, you keep placing the strip on the same side. Now that the pleats are safely pinned, I'm going to press the folds with my finger so they stay in place a little better, and then I'm going to take this strip to my sewing machine and run a stitch along the top of the skirt to hold the pleats in place. After sewing, remove the pins and iron the pleats down to make them nice and crisp. Now let's jump to the waistband. Since I'm super paranoid about fraying, I paint the edges of the fabric with a waterproof fabric glue, using a silicone tool so I don't waste brushes. I just use fabric glue rather than something specific like Fray Check because I'm too cheap to buy separate products that essentially do the same thing. While the glue is drying, we're going to focus on the straps. The footage for this part disappeared, so please enjoy my illustrations. To make the straps, we are going to take the fabric we've cut. First, we cut the 2 outside lengths of the fabric in towards the middle, creating this shape here, which you want to iron nice and flat. Then we fold one side of this over, essentially squashing the edges of the fabric that might be visible inside of the strap where they won't be seen. Again, iron everything nice and flat, and then run a stitch along the open side of the fabric, creating a neat closed strap that has no visible edges. Some of you might be familiar with this process since this is exactly how bias tape is made. I like using it because of the clean edges it leaves, so that's how I make my straps for suspenders and things out of raw fabric. If you want, you can use ribbon or anything that has finished edges so you don't have to go through this whole process. Now that we have the fabric, we're going to sew a D-ring into one end of each strap. Entirely optional, but you can snap your needle and give up for the evening like I did. Rather than making two separate straps, I decided to make a pair of suspenders that join at the back to form a Y shape. Make sure all the folds are on the inside of the suspenders, so that they'll press against the doll's body and be hidden when the skirt is worn. With that finished, we're going to jump back to the waistband. Fold up the bottom edge of the waistband so that they're hidden when you sew the waist and the skirt together. Iron it flat. Once you've done that, fold the waistband in half so that it is the height that you want it to be, with the edges folded up and hidden on the inside. Iron again. Once you've done that, unfold the most recent crease that we've made. Take the end of the fabric, fold it inwards, again creating that rolled effect. Iron and sew these in place. Line up the skirt with the waistband, and where the back seam of the skirt will be, which I've marked in white, fold the fabric inward to form a crease. Iron again to make the crease sharp. Take the waistband and pin it in place along the skirt, keeping those creases folded. I pin from the front to assure the decorative seams I've created in the waistband line up with the pleats in the front of the skirt. Once it's all pinned, I top stitch along the bottom of the waistband. This will attach the front of the waistband to the back of the waistband, with the top of the skirt hidden on the inside. Once it's sewn, put the right sides of the back seams together, lining up the creases we ironed a few steps prior, and sew the bottom of the skirt up to halfway along the crease, assuring your doll's legs and booty can fit through when you put it on. I ended up sewing this part by hand because it was a tiny bit fiddly. As you can see, because we folded the edges of the skirt before attaching them to the waistband, they stay in place and there are no raw edges visible from the outside. Now we can attach the straps and decorations and findings. I attach the back of the suspenders on one side of the skirt and then add a hook and eye closure. I'm hoping to get some zippers soon because I don't like the slight gapping most closures leave. Attach more D-rings to the front of the waistband on the inside. It's quite fiddly considering how small they are, so just take your time, have a pair of tweezers handy, and you'll get there eventually. I use a whip stitch, and I'm careful to only push my needle through the inside layer of fabric so that the stitches aren't visible from the outside. Finally, slip the straps through and sew them closed, the same way you did at the back, with the stitches and folds pointing inwards so you can't see them. And that's all there is to it. The rest is up to your creativity. I decided to make the straps adjustable since I'm a masochist and I liked the addition of gold it added. I decorated the waistband with little gold beads that were intended for nail art and I think it all really pulled together quite nicely. Please excuse how fluffy the skirt is. I need a new lint roller, but that really doesn't change the gist of things. As you can see, the pleats are nice and neat, the straps can adjust so I can position the skirt higher if I want to, and everything looks super cute. That's all I have for you today. If you make something following this tutorial, please share it with me, and use the hashtag SaharaAliTutorials so I can see what you've made. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!